What are the most lethal drugs, the ones that can kill you almost instantaneously? And as I mentioned before, between heroin and fentanyl, they are both opiates. Obviously, hello everybody, my name is Pej. I'm a drug interventionist. I specialize in helping people with addiction, alcoholism, and mental health. Today, our topic is what are the most dangerous drugs? So, what are the most dangerous drugs? I mean, a lot of people have different opinions about this or different philosophies, but based off of my personal experience, the most dangerous drugs that I see out there, there's a large array of them, would be fentanyl, which definitely tops the list. There are more people who are overdosing from fentanyl. Some are just overdosing, some are going into comas, and some are dying. This is a very dangerous drug. It is not just being laced in certain drugs these days, it is actually being sold regularly just as fentanyl within itself. And when people are getting it, they're using it, they're thinking that usually that it's not going to do anything to them but get them sedated and high. They're not realizing that it can actually kill you within a few seconds. So it tops the list of the most dangerous drugs that are out there. But what other ones are dangerous? I mean, a lot of people don't really know about this, but alcohol is one of the most dangerous drugs. There are more people that die as a result of alcoholism or alcohol-related deaths. For example, people that have been drinking and driving. There's a lot of drunk drivers that are out on the streets that not only sometimes it becomes fatal and they cause an accident that can kill others, but they can kill themselves too. And then also just within the family system, there are alcoholics that when we talk about danger, it doesn't just have to be a physical outcome that happens as a result of alcohol, but also verbally, mentally, emotionally. There are a lot of people that are affected by certain drugs. Heroin, obviously, is an opiate that's highly addictive. A lot of people get hooked on it. It doesn't always just start from just plain straight heroin. It can be, from pills that are opiate-based pills that develop into other kinds of addictions and turn into heroin. A lot of people will be prescribed certain medications, but when they cannot get those medications anymore because their doctor may cut them off, they might start seeking heroin. And heroin addiction has ran rampant for many, many decades throughout the United States and the world. Another very dangerous drug, I would say, are certain drugs like PCP. PCP is something that isn't a commonly used drug depending on the demographic, but there are people that use it. When people do PCP, all bets are off. You don't know what you're getting. A lot can happen. People can turn into, a monster, violent. They may go into different realms of their thought process and become pretty much insane and have all kinds of episodic experiences that could become very dangerous and might put them in a position where they might either get admitted to a psych hospital or incarcerated, or just create a lot of havoc no matter where they go and what happens in those times when they are on PCP. Other drugs that are very dangerous are definitely Xanax. Xanax was actually intended to take the edge off, to be an anxiety killer. So people are supposed to take it medically, but unfortunately there's a lot of Xanax out there these days that people are getting their hands on, whether it be prescribed or not prescribed. There is some kinds of Xanax that are out there that are being called Xanax, but it's actually not just Xanax. It is mixed with other things such as fentanyl, and a lot of people that use these types of things off the dark web or the deep dark web, wherever they might obtain these types of drugs, end up having major episodes that it turns them into a whole other type of person. And they go into a different, again, they may black out, they may not remember anything of what happened from the time before. It's very similar to like blacking out when drinking, not knowing what happened the night before. But that type of Xanax, or even regular Xanax that's being prescribed or abused through a prescription, or being taken from somebody else who has a prescription and then used extensively. The reason why it could be dangerous is both while they are under the influence of Xanax, it can be dangerous, but also in trying to come off. If they do not have a proper detox from Xanax, then it could definitely make them seize up and have a seizure and die. And so that happens with both Xanax and benzodiazepines as well as alcohol. What are the most lethal drugs, the ones that can kill you almost instantaneously? And as I mentioned before, between heroin and fentanyl, they are both opiates. Obviously, fentanyl is more powerful, and then there's heroin. The possibilities of overdosing from either one are high. It's at any given time. My experience is that a lot of people become so addicted to it that they don't really, it's not like, they're not calculating in their mind that I might take a little too much tonight and I might die. Usually an addict that's using any kind of opiate of that caliber and that power that those two possess, they do not think that they're going to die. They actually just think, this is it. I'm going to get nice and high today, nice and sedated, and I'll be okay. It won't happen to me. They don't actually think that just because a few of my friends have died from this is going to happen to me. Also, we don't know where people are actually getting this stuff from. I mean, obviously, there are street peddlers, drug dealers, plugs, as some people call them these days, that distribute this stuff, and some of them are laced with fentanyl, some of the heroin is laced with fentanyl, some of it's just straight fentanyl. But regardless of the fact, it could be that one time, the Russian roulette effect, that one time where somebody takes it and they immediately die. They could overdose right there in that moment. And even more than that, when we talk about how lethal it really could be, it's not like, fentanyl can't just kill you from intravenously shooting it into your veins. It can kill you from smoking it. It can kill you from tasting it, putting it in your mouth. It can kill you from snorting it, and that's instantly. And there have been plenty of cases where, there was an individual, it was a lady who had her daughter staying at her house in her own bedroom. She had called me, she wanted me to do an intervention, but she was absolutely opposed in giving her an ultimatum. And I told her, your daughter may die in your own house. What's the difference of her going out in the streets and dying and in your house? You don't want that. You don't want that blood on your hands. And sure enough, we did not follow through with the intervention. And I think 2 weeks later, she had gone somewhere else and she had smoked it. And unfortunately, she passed away. So the drugs with the most painful withdrawal symptoms are methadone, heroin, fentanyl. If you do not properly detox from these types of drugs, you are going to endure some of the most excruciatingly painful, emotionally driven withdrawal symptoms from these certain types of drugs. I mean, same with Xanax. If you, like I said earlier, Xanax and alcohol, if you do not detox correctly from these types of drugs, alcohol, Xanax, heroin, opium, methadone, and fentanyl, there's a great chance that you're going to experience certain types of withdrawals that will either take you back to doing those certain drugs, or you will just be in lots of pain. And when we talk about the withdrawals, it's everything from, your bones feel like someone's just pulling a wire on them, or you can't sleep. You may have, gastrointestinal issues where you're throwing up a lot, or you can't hold food down, or you have no appetite, or you're just going through lots and lots of emotions and lots of just painful, you feel like you're not at ease at any given point. You're uneasy and you're just kind of losing it in all different areas of your life. So what drugs are the hardest to quit? That's a good question. I definitely think that opiates are one of the hardest. Once you are addicted to it, you develop a dependency where you need it. It's in your it's in your bloodstream. You have to constantly have it. If you don't get it, you want more. And so there are some people that almost immediately experience some withdrawals and realize, I got to change my life. There are some people that almost immediately realize, like, I'm feeling these withdrawals, I got to change my life, I can't do this anymore. They will attempt to try to sober up. Some will try to get on Suboxone maintenance, but at some point or another, they're going to have to quit. And the reason that they don't and they keep going back to it is because it really captivates the mind. Crack is definitely one that's really hard to quit too. Some people that get caught up in the crack world, and that would be, rock cocaine, it's just a way of life. It becomes so addictive that you just don't see things any other way. That means that you will do anything. You'll rob, you'll steal, you'll cheat people in any way that you can to be able to get your crack addiction going and just constantly going and flowing. The problem with crack is it captivates you so much that you don't really think about how can I stop until it's too late. And a lot of people just become zombified and end up, homeless or walking the streets aimlessly, not really knowing how to stop. A lot of people get addicted to marijuana. Now, marijuana doesn't have a physical dependency, although your mental is connected to your physical. So it's not like you smoke weed and your body needs it all of the time, except your brain is part of your body, and that's the part of you where that obsession to continually keep doing it keeps happening. I got 14-year-old kids right now that send me messages on TikTok asking me, how do I quit smoking weed? Whether it be carts, cartridges, weed pens, all of the different things that kids use these days. One kid in particular just last night sent me a message saying, I don't know how to deal with the withdrawals. So, it doesn't just have to be a heavy drug for someone to be addicted to it, to experience withdrawals. Emotionally, I remember myself when I used to smoke weed as a youngster, if I didn't have it for a couple of days, my emotions would run rampant. I would fly off the handle. I'd get really upset. I had a short temper. You couldn't talk to me. All I knew is that I know what'll relieve me. If I just smoke some weed, some pot right now, I will be fine. Alcohol is definitely one that if you go through the withdrawals of alcohol and you don't actually get the help that you need, you can seize up. Not just that, you can have delirium tremens, you can hallucinate, you may see things that are not there, and at some point you could even become a wet brain, and that is where you have your tumor that's being created in your head as a result of too much alcohol. If you like the things that we've been talking about here today in this particular video, check out my crystal meth video by clicking right there.